they hate me because I'm kind of being a jerk, but they can't help but love me because I'm kind of being a jerk, because it's so out of the box for me.
And I think we want to, ride the spiral to the end. I think we want to ride out and get as much as we can out of this.
Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're going to be facing the Rascals at Genesis on January 19th. Tell me, what are you looking forward to about the match?
Oh, I'm looking super forward to just mixing it up with these guys. I've been a fan of them for the longest time. And even in NXT, there was some footage that never was released in WWE, and I thought it was magical. But it's going to be cool to actually, have a match with these guys in TNA, and who knows where it'll go from there. But yeah, I'm just a super fan of their work. They're so animated and just laid back and cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
Are you guys? Do you have a lot of the younger talent backstage at TNA who go to you for advice, things like that?
Probably more Matt. He's always kind of been more of the teacher, the leader. But I'm more of like a complimenter. I'll watch the matches and say, man, that was good. And if they say, should I change anything? I'll just say, man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's working out just fine. So that's kind of my style. But it's always cool just to have people like come up to us and just be grateful of our presence in TNA and to be excited for our presence. So yeah, it never gets old.
Yeah. Did you think you'd still be doing this when you started out 30 years ago?
Man, I don't know. Probably the way I was living life in my 20s and 30s, and if I was living life the way I'm living life now, oh my gosh, there's no telling. I would probably be bigger than John Cena today, because I was born with such a gift to be a pro wrestler, and I was just, it just felt so natural and like I was totally, created to do this thing. And the cool thing about that is I'm still here. I still have life, and I feel good. And as Matt had mentioned, we're big ice bathers, and that's been crazy beneficial for me, mentally and physically. So yeah, I don't put a number on it. I don't, I'll just pretty much wrestle until I can't wrestle anymore.
Gotcha. I was looking into what your first match in Dallas was, and it really surprised me. I didn't realize this, that you worked the Dallas Sportatorium when you were 17. I think you might be the youngest person alive who can say they worked the Sportatorium.
Wow.
Do you have any memories of working that? It was an NWA Dallas taping. You wrestled against Dapper Dan and Chico Cabello as Wolverine. Do you have any memories of that?
Wow, I don't. I remember that was the big Freebird territory back in the day, I believe, and I remember just being pretty amazed that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm working in this place. But God, 17, no, I don't have any memory of that whatsoever. I had my first match in WWF when I was 16, so I think I've kind of been scarred or just terrified. It was so terrifying to lie about my age and to be in the WWF at that age. But yeah, I do not recall that match at all.
Do you remember the Wolverine character?
I do, yeah. That came from, when it comes to comic books, I was X-Men. That was my go-to comic book, and naturally the Wolverine came from that. So yeah, before I just, became myself, the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy, I was Wolverine, and this cat named Willow was my alter ego.
Sure.
And so yeah, and that's where the painted face came from. So I'm very grateful for the Ultimate Warrior and Sting, because they're the reason I paint my face still to this day.
Got it. Bringing up that your early days at WWF, I think you had a match when you were around 16 with Owen Hart. Is that right?
I probably did, yeah. I wrestled Owen Hart, and the King Kong Bundy was a big one. That one really put me on the map, because back then I could do a smooth backflip from a clothesline, and he gave me the clothesline. I did the flip, and Razor Ramon and they used to call me Ice because I look like Vanilla Ice. Razor and Shaw and Diesel, and they were like, "Yo, did you see Ice do the flip? He went vertical on Bundy's clothesline. It was badass." But yeah, that was great for me. But yeah, and Owen, oh my God, just being in the ring with him, I learned so much within that 10 minutes or however long the match was.
And yeah, you mentioned earlier, you've had a really, as well as being an accomplished tag wrestler, you've had a very accomplished singles career. Do you have any more aspirations to, pursue singles championships anymore? Or are you happy teaming with your brother at this point?
It feels right to be teaming with my brother, but man, the only time I've ever really been a heel in wrestling was when I became the Antichrist of pro wrestling. And I really think the way I am right here, like in today's world, I think it could be like so much better, and I think it could be done the right way to where it would almost end up being an in-betweener type of thing. It's like, they hate me because I'm kind of being a jerk, but they can't help but love me because I'm kind of being a jerk, because it's so out of the box for me.
Okay. Do you think we could see the return of any of your various characters, like Willow or anything like that, going forward?
Yeah, Willow, man, it's amazing how much I'm asked about Willow, and there's actually a new mask made with the faceplate. I just got to go pick it up in Hillsboro, North Carolina, and hopefully it fits good, and I'm going to start dropping some Willow promos on social media and kind of just go from there.
Yeah, someone sent me a video last night, and I never knew this, that you worked battle arts in Japan as Willow in the late '90s. How did that come to be? Do you know?
Yeah, the memory is so vivid, and it comes back anytime I talk about this. I went over there by myself, and I was so nervous, because I was, 17, 18, and I was going to Japan, and I remember waking up on the flight and looking out, and it was just all these mountains. Snow was everywhere, and it just looked like a different world, man, like I was on a different planet. And it was just so scary, but what a learning experience that was for me to go over there. And I was Willow over there in battle arts, man, and it was extremely fun, and it was so good for me to get out of my comfort zone and have that fear within the traveling of that far. And yeah, it was such a good experience for me.
Very different from WWF, I imagine.
So much different, yeah. The first day I was there, I thought I was going to starve because I was, oh my God, all I'm going to eat is this rice here at this dojo. I'm going to have to be hardcore and suffer through this, but it was what a great experience.
All right, Matt Hardy, welcome to Dallas.
Good to be in Dallas.
Yeah. So you got Genesis coming up, and you're going to be working with the Rascals in the Tag Team Championship match. And I was looking, and it looks like you've never actually faced the Rascals before. What are you anticipating with this match?
Yes, this is a first-time matchup, the Hardys versus the Rascals, and I think for the Rascals, this is their dream matchup. They both grew up as big fans of myself and Jeff. I think they emulated a lot of what we did when they were young kids. They jumped off the furniture and broke beds and couches and whatnot, doing swantons and leg drops. So this is an exciting moment for them for sure, but it's also a very exciting moment for us because they do remind us a lot of the young Hardy Boys. They're guys who kind of changed the game. They're very high risk. They're extremely acrobatic and athletic, and we know we're going to have to work hard to topple the youth of the Rascals at Genesis.
For sure. TNA seems to be working to really, build itself up this year. You guys have booked a lot of big venues. Do you think TNA has an opportunity to kind of grow as a brand this year?
Yes, I think TNA will grow as a brand this year. I think TNA during the last half of 2024 was really elevating itself. And I think the project has come together where they have the right crew, the right roster, working with the right creative forces and the right mindset. And we've got guys who've been booking buildings, and we've gotten hot. I think the beginning of this was Joe Hendry. When he became viral, was a big viral sensation. You had guys like Nick Nemeth, who's a big star, who comes in and ends up winning the title. I think he's been very beneficial. You have myself and Jeff coming back, which we have a lot of equity in TNA. We've done some of the best parts of our career here in TNA, so we're very happy to be back. And I think everything is really clicking right now. And I think we're at a point in TNA where if we win, we find a bigger and better platform. I think it's a game changer for TNA.
And we've also seen TNA working quite a bit with WWE recently, specifically NXT. Would that be something you guys would be open to? Would be working NXT or anything like that?
I think so, yes. That's also something that was very beneficial. I think that crossover, Rob, has helped both TNA and NXT, both of those. And yes, Jeff and I would be interested in doing that. Would be interested in doing some sort of WWE dates because I think there is a possibility. There is such a friendly exchange between WWE and TNA. I think, much like Joe Hendry often says, we could show up anytime, any place, any show. And I think Jeff and I, we would definitely be candidates to do that now that we are official and we're contracted TNA roster members.
And you and Jeff, you've been doing this, off and on as a tag team for close to 30 years now. How much do you see an end of the road in sight, or is that something you're thinking about at this point?
If you would have asked me that question a couple years ago, I would have probably said, yeah, in a couple years I maybe can see the end of the road. But I think now we both feel very rejuvenated. We're both into taking care of ourselves. We both cold plunge on a regular basis, and that has given our bodies new lives. And I think we want to, ride the spiral to the end. I think we want to ride out and get as much as we can out of this. This was our childhood dream, and it's all we ever wanted to do. I'm very passionate about pro wrestling, and I want to do it as long as I can. So if we can still do it, and we can do it at a somewhat high level and compete with the new and the younger guys, and also give back to them and help build them and help loan them our star power that we've been able to make over our 33-year careers, we're definitely up for it. So I'm not putting any kind of date or any kind of number on anything. I literally am just day to day.
Okay. And do you and Jeff, do you have any kind of backstage roles at TNA, helping with training or planning things at all at this point?
We certainly have a backstage role of doing almost every single meet and greet, and usually those are 2 or 3 hours after the show, but we take a lot of pride in that people still want to come out and see us and take photos with us and get a picture signed by us, which is great.
Sure.
I think our role is kind of unspoken in many ways. We are kind of the elder statesman of the locker room, and whenever we do speak with young talent or work with young talent, it is our job to kind of pass on things that have been taught to us. Because when we first started as young talent in pro wrestling, the business was very, very different. A lot of the older veterans weren't willing to share their secrets, much like Jeff and I are willing to share our secrets and give guys tips. And we want to see guys get better. We want to see talent thrive. We want TNA to have the best talent it can from top to bottom because we want it to grow. It's very important, and it's a vital and paramount part of the pro wrestling industry in 2024 and 2025.
What do you think, for anyone who's maybe not familiar with TNA, what do you think is special about the promotion right now for people who want to check it out?
I think we have a real good synergy of new stars that are currently getting hot themselves. Joe Hendry being the first one. I think Joe Hendry is the guy that is the flag bearer for TNA in many ways. And I think I feel Genesis is going to be a big night for him. So I think if you're a Joe Hendry fan, you certainly want to be there because I think it's going to be a very special night for him. And then you also have some legacy talent like myself and Jeff. You have Nick Nemeth. You have guys that have crossed over. Now we're really working hard and doing everything we can to try and elevate TNA. So I think the synergy between those two things is making it very special. And on top of that, I think TNA has a group of people in the office that are booking the shows, putting the shows together, that are really on the pulse of what people want in 2025.
I was looking into your history of working in Dallas, and I don't know if you remember this. Your first ever, the Hardy Boys' first ever tag match in Dallas. It was a dark match on Shotgun Saturday Night against the New Age Outlaws for the WWF Tag Team titles. Do you have any? I don't suppose you have any memories of that, do you?
I think I do, just because it was a big deal for us because we were working with the New Age Outlaws. Because they were a very established team, and we were working hard to become established, and it's cool because we get to work with them a lot over the years, and they were really good to us.
Yeah, they help you a lot as a young team.
They did. Road Dogg specifically, Billy Gunn was always a real interesting cat. You never knew if you were going to get happy Billy Gunn or grumpy Billy Gunn, But Road Dogg was always friendly. He was always great, and still has been to this day. And I think we have a lot of fond memories working against the New Age Outlaws.